Yeah, so I actually started the company in 2017, but I have been kind of an activist de plaisir for a long time. It started with my mother when I was little, and I realized very young that you kind of had to fight for your place as a woman and for the things that you love and for your pleasure. And I realized again when I was in college and I left for the Navy, there is a great divide between men and women. And they actually said at one point, we had all the women pulled into one place and they asked us, they said, you have a choice about your career in the military. You can either be a bitch or you can be a slut. You have to choose one. And if you choose to be a slut, we don't want you in the military. And I said, why not? Why not? Why can't you be both? And they said, if you turn down a man for a date, you say no. If you don't go out with them, you're a bitch. If you kiss somebody, you go on a date, you sleep with somebody, you're considered a slut. And it doesn't matter that, your male counterparts are sleeping with 20 women a month. It doesn't matter. You do it once, you're a slut. And I took issue with that. And in my late 20s, I started to really explore my own pleasure. And, with different partners, I'm pansexual, which means I am interested in all genders and sexual exploration. And I was dating men and women and other bisexual people and really kind of exploring my sexuality. And at one point, I actually had a blended orgasm where you stimulate the glans clitoris and the G-spot at the same time. And it was this really mind-bending orgasm, and it made me realize, how do I do that again by myself? Because that was very powerful. How do I harness that power for myself instead of having to be with a partner? And that's when I started doing designs for the first product, Ose 2, in order to allow people with vaginas to have that experience. And there was no product like it on the market. And what I wanted to do was give that power back to people and allow them to be empowered to be able to own their own pleasure. And then we launched the company and we launched the product in 2020, last year. And now we have 11 products on the market that allow people to use biomimicry or biomimetismo to stimulate all parts of the body so that people can explore their pleasure and they can feel confident and positive about exploring their pleasure and their journey and their path to pleasure. I think it's really important for brands like Lora Dicarlo and Eroteca to come together because we both stand, there's a lot of brand alignment here. We agree with the empowerment, the pursuit of sexuality and sexual exploration with positivity and confidence, and the education. The education, I think, is the most key component here, because we actually understand that the biggest barrier to entry, the biggest barrier to even exploring your sexuality is often a lack of education. So we are often afraid of things that we don't understand. So when you don't understand your own body, you don't understand your own pleasure, and you don't understand your sexuality and the things that you like and the things that you don't like, then we tend to we don't want to explore them because we're afraid of them. So the goal of being able to educate people about their sexuality through experiential or experiences with products, through content and education, and through other products is absolutely imperative. It's so important to be able to have that platform to educate people, because we know that not just in America, but all over the world, in Mexico, all over the world, sexual education is terrible. It's terrible. And it often falls upon brands like mine and yours to educate people and help them feel more positive and confident about exploring their sexuality. And often having to reteach or unlearn bad habits or misconceptions about what our bodies do and what our bodies don't do, and about what safe sex and about what real pleasure is, and about the idea that, you don't have to have an orgasm every time to experience pleasure. Pleasure can be experienced at all times during the day, before, during, and after sexual activity, and every time in between. So I think the education is one of the most important components, and it's brands like ours that are taking on the responsibility of educating the public. So the Lora Dicarlo line is actually far, far ahead of its time, evolutionarily, in as far as technology is concerned. For those of you that have ever had like a flip phone or a BlackBerry cell phone, it's like, think about when you had that phone and then somebody hands you an iPhone and says, figure it out. That's how technologically advanced Lora Dicarlo products are. We utilize biomimicry, or biomimetismo, I think is how you say it. And it's biomimicry is when you mimic biological motion. So we're mimicking plant, animal, or human motion. And in our case, we're mimicking human motion, or the motion of an expert partner. So the idea is to utilize movements like a come hither motion on the G-spot, or the way that cunnilingus feels on the clitoris, or the way that a finger might feel on like a rubbing motion or tapping motion. And the reason that this is so much more advanced is because if you look at like a normal, just a vibrator, like a normal vibrator has about 20 to 50 parts total to make that vibrator. One of our products, like Ose, which I happen to have right here, Ose has over 230 parts in this product. So, and when I say biomimicry, I keep wanting to say biomimetismo. It literally strokes on the G-spot. So, and that can go pretty fast. But the other thing that's actually really, really interesting about a product like this, and also this right here, it actually, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but what it does is it flutters air and it creates a thrumming sensation throughout the entire body of the external portion of the clitoris, or the internal labia. So when you're using this, the other thing that's really important to note is that it's entirely flexible and can fit a multitude, or many, many different kinds of bodies. And not only that, but it can create more intense sensation. So you can say your G-spot is here, or if you want it to be much more pressure, you can actually bend it such that kind of go like this and then put it back there, and it will actually be really tight and push into the G-spot, creating a really intense orgasm. So the reason this is so avant-garde, or so ahead of its time, is because we've been making vibrators for almost 100 years. The first vibrator was actually invented by Dr. Mortimer Granville in the 1880s, and then actually put into production in the 1920s. And these devices were made to address what they called female hysteria. And so essentially these products were made to quell female pleasure instead of actually explore it. So we've been recreating a product that was meant to quell pleasure and quell sexual desire instead of explore it, for almost 100 years. And nobody's really done anything very different within this space. So I wanted, as a female inventor and entrepreneur, I wanted to create something that is actually made with our physiology and our bodies in mind, and would actually fit our bodies and touch us in ways that a human partner would, instead of just vibrating. And we do make vibrators, but also even those ones, we have a drift, tilt, and sway. And those products actually utilize a very specific heating technology, a polymer heating technology that heats the product up to 104 degrees in order to encourage blood flow and encourage comfort. So those with like any kind of pain issues, or like any pain issues, this will actually help a lot with pain. The warmth, the heating helps with the pain and the blood flow. So all of the products that we make are very thoughtfully designed with human physiology and data-backed research in mind. My favorite pleasure product is obviously going to be, this one's like, it's my baby. It's you know, I made her for like we call it I don't know if it's translatable or transcribable, level 99 product. Like this is like the expert product. So you know, it's a little bit complicated. Like I said, it's like taking somebody that has like a Razor, a BlackBerry, a flip phone, and then be like, here's an iPhone, figure it out. So we actually offer coaching for products like these. And actually, even if you don't buy a product, if you've never used one of our products, you can still go and do a coaching session to understand, one, how to use the product, and two, what is the best product that is going to be for your body and for your experience. So that may be my favorite product, but I can't necessarily recommend it for you unless I know exactly like, what do you want to experience? So another favorite, a fan favorite, and it's like kind of hard to go wrong with, is Baci. And Baci is the little pink one that has just this part on it. And it is mind-blowing. It's absolutely lovely. But like I said, if you don't know exactly which product you want to buy, don't go with just, hey, buy this one from me. Like, go and sign up or talk to one of the ladies at Eroteca to kind of understand what is going to be the best fit for your experience. Okay, so one of the things that I've kind of recently started doing is realizing how erotic it can feel to not necessarily touch erogenous zones, like you know, any like the vulva or the clitoris or anything, but just remembering like what does it feel like to just touch your skin and touch yourself. We always we kind of crave touch from other people. And we like the way that it feels when somebody else touches us. But when was the last time that you just like ran your fingers across your legs or or over your arms or even just on your face? It feels lovely. If you haven't done it, it feels like, and we forget to do that. We forget to love ourselves. And so I think some of the things that I also love to do are I do enjoy like a really good bath, or and I know like maybe it doesn't seem as necessarily erotic, but doing the things that make me feel sexy, like whether it's just like doing like a facial or like, you know, taking care of my nails, or and just things that make me feel like like no matter what I look like, they just make me feel like a little bit like kind of like a powerful bitch. And you know, or even wearing like I do this too, like if like I'll wear, when I was in nursing and in healthcare, I would wear like really sexy lingerie under my scrubs, and it'd just be like, yeah, I feel like a total sexy bitch today. Or I would wear really funny socks and be like, I feel silly today, nobody knows it. So and then I think as far as like the actual task of masturbation, I think whenever you're getting started, whether it's sex or masturbation, I think a lot of people are just like, I'm just going to dive in. And I think like taking it slow and giving yourself time to get warmed up, maybe listen to some like audio erotica, or like, you know, using your imagination and just like stimulating just the clitoris on the outside and warming up to doing more things is kind of my favorite way to go. And then occasionally I just like to give myself a quickie. So I mean, it just depends on like what the day is like. Sometimes I'm like, hey, I need to like wham bam and thank you ma'am to myself, or I'm like, hey, I'm going to take my time with you.
Yeah.
Well, I do. I think we also like, we in this day and age, we talk a lot about take your time, blah blah blah. And I'm like, sometimes I just want to get fucked hard. I mean, I want to do it myself, but there's nothing wrong. I mean, there's like this like rainbow, this whole spectrum of like what is pleasure. And I think like you can experience every single stop in between, and there's this huge spectrum of what pleasure is, and none of it is wrong. It's all like, what are your desires? Explore those desires. Okay, so first off, spending a week with all y'all sounds like the best thing ever. It would literally, like, we'd paint the town I'd paint the town rainbow. That's what we'll do.
That's funny.
So that would be a dream come true. And my last experience in Mexico was I went to Los Barriles in Baja California. It's just south of La Paz and La Ventana. And I kiteboard. I like to get out on a surfboard with a big kite or a board. And I just learning how to jump. So I'm getting like really high jumps, like 10 and 20 feet in the air. And then most of the time I'm actually landing them now. I'm landing them. But sometimes I crash and I look kind of like a tea bag dropping into the ocean. It's really interesting. So it's that's probably my favorite. So a weekend down there was pretty much like wake up in the morning, and I love it down there because it's such a small community. It's like half locals and half like expats from like Canada and America. And the community is very close and tight knit. You know everybody in town. And you walk to go get coffee in the morning, and you go like play pickleball, you hang out with the locals, you hang out on the beach, and then you go kiteboarding as soon as the wind picks up. And then you walk everywhere. The food there is amazing, and the community is just wonderful. So it's probably one of my favorite places in the world, and I can't wait to go back. And I also can't wait to go to Mexico City. That sounds like a plan.
Yes.
To anybody that's listening, and this is a lot of people, this isn't necessarily specific to pleasure, or I mean, it can be actually. It's pleasure. This actually can be very specific to pleasure. But as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, one of the things I always like to remind people is that growth breaks things, and that can be really hard. So, but I want to remind people that growth breaks things so that you can create something more beautiful and stronger in its place. And you can apply that to your sexual journey too. When you try new things, it can break the old things, but think of that as an opportunity to become a more fulfilled and complete individual on your own. Maybe not with a partner, but completely on your own. So explore that sexual journey, and sometimes it will be hard. Sometimes it might actually bring up old traumas or or experiences that you don't really want to relive. But I highly recommend that you relive them, go through them. Like, it's because at the end of the day, whatever doesn't kill you is going to make you stronger, and you will be better off for it. So explore your pleasure, do it with positivity, do it with confidence, and hopefully you do it with Lora Dicarlo and La Eroteca.